On Wall Street, it was the quiet before the storm. That's how some described today's action as investors prepare for the busiest week of earnings this season and a meeting of the Federal Reserve policymakers. By the close, the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 26 points to 17,977. The Nasdaq dropped 10. The S&P 500 was off more than 3. Bob Pisani has more on why today's quiet could fade quickly.
This is the big week for earnings. Almost a third of the S&P 500 reports, everything from drug companies like Pfizer and Merck to auto companies like Ford. But the two companies I most want to hear from are oil giants ExxonMobil and Chevron. They report later in the week. Investors want to hear first reassurances that the dividends are safe, and second, what's the outlook for oil prices and oil demand in the second half of the year? These stocks have staged impressive recoveries recently on expectations that global demand is again growing. There's also a Fed meeting on Wednesday, and while no one is expecting them to raise rates, traders will be watching to see if the statement leans towards highlighting the strengths in the economy rather than the weaknesses, which might indicate whether they will raise rates at the next meeting in June. Meantime, tech stocks have had a tough time on disappointing earnings, but other sectors have stepped in to fill the gap. So energy and healthcare and materials and financials, they're up 4 to 6% this month, while big technology names like Microsoft and Intel are all down. That rotation out of tech and into energy, materials, and financials is considered healthy by investors. The issue is whether earnings and the Fed commentary will allow us to push to new highs. You know, we're only 2% away. For Nightly Business Report, I'm Bob Pisani at the New York Stock Exchange.